Hello to you all. The weather is slowly getting better and the afternoon is very pleasant here. Excellent choice of speakers. And it's a pleasure to pick up here and to tell you something about our experiences in the field of architecture and sustainability. Why the title, I will tell you later. I just start, wait a minute, I have to take the tool here. Yeah. I start with our first international success in 1995, and it was the project for the Nordic embassies. We were unknown young office, and it was 223 competitors, and it was very nice beating them all. And the situation then was, of course, wait a minute, so what is that? Yeah. Berlin was still full of projects, but not like it is today. So what makes it so remarkable in today's perspective is the openness. Everybody was very much expecting the new, and all the complications that came later were not visible yet, or at least not tangible. So we got this wonderful piece of land here. It was formerly owned by the Nordic countries, Sweden and Finland. They had unfortunately not believed in Berlin as a new capital, so they sold it in the 80s, and they had to rebuy it, which gave a certain economic dynamic to this operation because the price had sort of gone up. So they teamed up with the three other Nordic countries, Iceland, Denmark, and Norway, which gave the rise to a great political and idea, the 5 embassies together on one piece of land. We challenged this as the idea that formerly the Nordic was one big thing, and sort of we cut it into the countries, into the 5 different identities, plus the common, the Fælles Hus, the shared house. By just designing not the houses, but designing the space between the houses. So, okay, complicated. Yeah. So we didn't design volumes, but we designed space between the volumes. The success, sorry, I get used to it. The success was very, very immediate, especially creating 5 separate units for each embassy one, which is in this case Denmark, Iceland in the corner, Norway on the back, Sweden here, Finland, and the Fælles Huset around this slightly Palladian center court created the opportunity to give way to 5 national competitions, which finally had been the result that we had cooperation in the Danish part with 3XN, in the Icelandic with Palma, in the back with Snøhetta for Norway, in Sweden for Wingard, and Viva for Finland. So it was a great success that all 5 winning entries were not only following what we told them to follow, but they were very innovative, and they were young offices. We feared at this time that it would be some wrinkled embassy designs that would come in, but this was not the case. The whole project was super fresh, and what was the given rules except the geometries? One of the main rules was no painted surfaces, no coatings, only materials come as they are. And for our Fælles Huset, we have chosen the wood. For the exteriors, we have chosen the natural stones from Iceland and Sweden, a combination of marble and the rough Norwegian surface, and textile wood, light materials that reflect the seafaring nation of these countries, with a design of a facade to the outside that has nothing to do with traditional facade, but that is more a wrapping. And also the Fælles Huset is enclosed with a facade that is not subjected to the functional idea of windows, but is rather a filter between these common spaces. and that creates a tension between this community in the Felleshuset and the surrounding areas. A wonderful game with all these themes, with the support of the 5 wonderful designs for the national embassies here, Norway, Sweden, Finland, as a setup for national representation in a completely new idea to sort of calm down the vain national idea in favor of a shared presentation of the Nordic embassies. So inside, outside, 2 different scales. To the outside, it's the Nordic embassies. This was a bit a challenge for some of the national architects, we called them, to accept that they had no facade to the outside, but it was our facade. This was a bit tricky, but in the end, everybody was happy. Why I include this here is lasting materials. I think the topic that has been raised today with beauty, it's the lasting beauty that is very important in architecture. And we have, well, it's a small period if you compare it to some old buildings, but it is 25 years now, and the project is very fresh and has not aged, and I think that's one of the very good gene that you can give a project in the hope that it will last long and stay long, not only as a functional unit that's sometimes complicated. Functions can change, but the building must remain. Here I go into a project that connects me very strongly with Jakob. We did it together. In Vienna, for housing projects, it's very common that the builders are competing together with architects. So this was in this case. And we have teamed up, and also the building code obliges for this plot 2 architects in the hope that they would get sort of Vielfalt, 2 different architectural styles. We didn't really give them that, but we gave them a fantastic project. The idea of the builder was a wood builder, so we started with the idea both we do a first great bigger wood housing, and the thing we understood, if I take this image here, I mean, wood can be picturesque and everything, but even behind this picturesque here, you have to see that all these picturesque units are exactly identical in their construction. And that's where we sort of can connect to Mr. Cree, that there in wood construction there's much more systematic thinking than maybe in concrete, where you can basically do any shape you want. So the project was built up not so much it was built up by the idea that we have an ideal section for a wood house, which is basically the slab that has a certain span, which we decided around 8 meters and something. I don't remember exactly. And this is for the 230 flats, is some kilometers long. And now we started to put it on top of each other, Stapelung, and cut it and arrange it around these 3 corridors that, of course, in this kind of building, you need to have very economic ideas about Erschließung, about how to go to stairs and corridors. But how can we create the beauty to have spatial experience between these identical elements? And this was, I think, the great challenge in this competition, and also to think about what happens in the ground floor, where you will see later how is the design of the Sockel helping the community explore this unit as one gradual scaling experience. So that's the scale model. You can see there's only 3 corridors, 6 stairs, 230 flats. But the challenge to have a very good identity from very small from the flat over the clusters of flats to the staircase to the entity of the whole building. The exterior plays a major factor for this this concept, and the idea that privacy is not behind fences, but is sort of it starts here in these bridges. That's an image from the construction. Of course, we had designed a wood building that ended up to be a hybrid building because the economic pressure was, after the competition, big enough to settle to a concrete building with wood facades. But as said earlier in this conference, step by step, you're conquering the thema. The sort of no, this is not very good to use that, but the centerpiece of this is the canyon, where we can observe a very good coming together of all the members of this community of the whole house. So a staircase is a staircase. You will see it later in other projects. But where is the identity of the building as a total? This I skip, but would be interesting, but not enough time. The project has been subjected to by Siemens and the city of Vienna to as a sort of a Entwicklungsprojekt, a research project, and every possible technical device was installed in this house. It was in 2011. And the results have been monitored, and I think it has been very important for the projects we did after to see how the combination of the different possibilities to gain energy from the soil and from solar energy, and how the combination of these systems would eventually be successful. The project was successful in terms of recognitions. The staircase is color coding of the identities of the different stairs. The relation between the city and this gradually getting into a semi-private area that evolves into these higher bridges, into a very complex and very easy to live in complex. That the entry to the renewable materials, I think there is no perfect project in terms of wood and renewable materials, especially when it's big. That's why I show here a smaller one. It's a refurbishment of an old villa for a film company, Terramata. It's an internationally awarded company, and they bought this villa, and they have sort of grew over the villa. And since villas very seldomly are used by one family, so it's an interesting option to use them for a company. And so we added the tea house sort of to this villa to get more workspace. In this case, it's 6 offices here in this additional building. The good thing about the small scale of this project is that it's completely wood. We don't need this combined construction methods, because the fire protection is very easy, and construction things are very easy, and you can work with classical wood builders. You don't need the industrial approach. And for us, it was interesting to define this tea house also as a green element in the garden that will, in the meantime, it has grown over in this metallic structure that is like a treillis to grow over the house. And the view from inside here, everybody wanted to move into the new part, even though the old house is very nice. But you can see how the privatization of the office space is a very important question. I don't know how this works in the shared office, but basically you can take out the separation walls, but it's not the scale you have been talking about. You talk about thousands of employees. Here it's 43, but a different theme. But the wood construction in this scale is very appealing, and of course we take a lot of experience to the big projects also from small projects. That's why I do like them very much. Old wood stair, new wood stair, same thing, a little bit different. Yep. And the next project is totally different, but it fits quite well today. It's off the grid. We started a housing development, also this kind of competition. It was with the builder, the Bauherr was GPA insurance company, social insurance company, and we did it with Lechner Architects together. And the situation, okay. The situation is quite interesting. We have here the Rapidstadion, we have the Windfluss, and we have Otto Wagner Areal up there, and up on the top is the Otto Wagner Church. So it's 14th district in Vienna, but it's all brownfields from the Bundesbahn, and there was no gas and no district heating. And our client that's the area, and our client has decided not to pay for connection to the district heating and not to pay for gas to be brought to the site, but to be energy autark fully. And so this is in the end a project that has a different focus than the others you have seen before, because to build 300 flats without external heat was in this case the focus. So you can see it here as integrated in this valley situation. But what did we do? We decided that 300 flats needs a very clear structure to again create social distinction between the groups in the house, but at the same time to integrate it into the broader sieht man da leider nicht, into the broader with the neighboring houses, because what we do here is we shield off to the railroad in the north, and we create internal new situations behind this shielding construction to the railroad with this follow-up of 3 courtyards. And how do you program such a project besides the energetic aspect, which is very important? First of all, 64 140-meter drillings, but then learning from the wood housing in Aspern, a combination again of everything that is on the market, but wisely combined and wisely simulated with the Austrian Institute for Technology to come close to something where every system helps each other, and to understand that a sustainable technical solution can only be hybrid. There is not the answer, but there is a very complex interplay between all the technical elements. But in terms of architecture, we could take advantage of this fantastic situation in the valley to not only have a good exterior space on the ground floor, but to have to create the Windtal-Terrassen, which is finally the name of the project. It's a 80-meter long terrace on the top of the center building, with gardening and all sort of outdoor experiences for the which comes back a little bit to Le Corbusier with the roof garden as an element that is for the whole community of the house. The client very wisely has had the contacts and the ability to bring in a number of social things into the house, which makes it the whole day active house. That's one of the biggest problems in the big housing like this. What happens over the day when the people are out? But we have here daycare for old people. We have daycare for people with special needs. We have office units in the ground floor, and so on. So it's very complex in the programming, something that is badly missing in many housing projects, that there's just housing, and then there's nobody knows what to do with the ground floor. So in this case, there's not something we can do as architects, but it's something the developers can do. And in this situation, I think it was especially very skillful to achieve that, because basically it's in the backyard, and what functions can you activate in a backyard situation? I mean, it's easy if you're in a shop front, but it was very successful. And yes, the green facades, the existing big green trees, of course, help very much. The staircases, connection to the other project, the staircases are one of the primary communication elements. If you can communicate with your neighbors in a staircase with natural light, I think you can't compare to a situation where you have an elevator and a staircase in a shaft. So that's something in a high-rise it gets difficult, but up to 6 floors, you can do it and you should do it. Yes, to the rail we were not allowed to do windows, so very small windows, but it's an identity to a crowd that passes by. But it's the sort of a site that is not directly active for the people who live in, but still Otto Wagner is inside with the golden cupola, and it is a highly decorated project also, in this case also very much for the fact that it's the first big housing project without any carbon heating material used. I jump to a very small one, and then I come to the last. Circular use of material, it's not a project that any of you in the house can count on. We didn't count on it also, but it was very funny. It's the family that lives in this castle, or at least owns that castle, that decided to create a burial space for the family members that were buried all around Europe. So they needed something for this. And so this is quite a not so common task. But what was extremely interesting is that when we discussed the possibility to create such a chapel, the owner showed me this part, this small house on the ground that collapsed in, I think it was in 1723 it collapsed. And so the stones were lying there for 300 years, but they were neatly put on a pile. Yeah? And he said, could you use these stones? And he said, that's an option. It's a very interesting option, of course, because I never had such a circularity in a project like here. But the design followed after a week of thinking. I understood that with these stones you cannot make an angle, you cannot make a window, you can only make a surface. And so the only answer was to make something round without angles, torus. And that's what it became. It's this small element that grew up here in the middle of the forest. The location was chosen very much by the owners with a view to the castle, so that the living and the dead are in permanent dialogue. And it's all the same stone, some concrete elements. And they were just brought over 100 meters, and a local mason built it up. And while the doors and some elements, of course, are fabricated, but basically then you can see this light in the room. And that's the luxury in there. It's this gold-plated cone that brings in the daylight and creates a magic aura in this space. Last theme, social resilience, maybe the most important. I think that technical aspects, we have to deal with them, we have to do them, and we love to work with the best engineers, we love to work with the top technologies, but still the value of a building will never be counted on that. And even if you're a little bit dystopic, what happens with a building if crisis comes up and the software is not available for something, the house is still there. So this is a project we won in Salzburg for, get this here. It's a combination of a bathhouse and Kurhaus. The situation in Salzburg was that in 1900 they built, like everybody, they built the Kurhaus. Then they demolished it and built a new one in 57, which was maybe, yeah, it lasted for some time. But then in 80, they decided to build a new one. It took then 30 years to start the competition, but it was started and we won it. And so the task was fantastic, and that's what I want to mention here. It's the public decision. In the middle of Salzburg, you get a free place, and every investor wants to have it. And the city of Salzburg did the only right thing. They said, no, we do not move the bars out to the Eurospar. We keep it in the center of the town. And I think that the quality of this decision cannot be overestimated. Otherwise, there would be another 5-star hotel standing here today and without any added value for the city. So this decision was really great. We had a concept. It was a very complicated competition. I don't want to go too much in the detail, but these two buildings in the front, this area was blocked by the existing Kurhaus, which had to remain until the other building was finished. So we ended up in a design that reflects the lines of the Baroque fortifications here, to gain a little space, to get a little bit of freedom in this rectilinear 1900 classicism design, and ended up with a piling up of the health care house, which is everything is public. So the healthcare house is on social insurance for all health treatments. Then there is the blue is the swimming pool in the third floor with the adjacent changing rooms and so under it. Technical facilities all over the house, and the spa in the top floor. The difficulty in this project was that it's 35 meters wide and 65 meters long. So in the middle, it's just dark, and we had to. I was in an exhibition with Tina in south of France where we saw this Chillida, Elogia de la Luz, and this was the answer to the whole problem. Bring in the light right away in the center of the building. You will see how this works from a cupola over the jump tower, where anyway you need more height, and where the light, you can see it in the section. Entering the house, you know, sort of nearly religious, the path towards the light. But it's just to have fun in the swimming pool in this case. And then there's this pool level and the top level for the sauna. Technically very interesting. Some interesting problems come up in this kind of stacking of functions. But mainly the construction for the sauna floor also was super interesting. Yes, I don't want to go into detail again, but this is a little bit different to other houses because the making 5 pools with hot water is consuming a lot of energy. So you never come to a total zero energy or neutral energy for the building. So what you have to do is to separate the water management from the house. But we did a house on the top standard, and of course all the water management also on the maximum energy saving level that you can do. And for the house we achieved a gold certificate, the first time in for public baths in Austria. And the facades are, it's very compact. You can see it in all these projects. Compacity is, of course, a key for good energy results. But the main thing is to create a public space in the third floor for all the people from Salzburg and their guests, where they can enjoy swimming, and at the same time they can enjoy the beauty of their town and the beauty of the Kurgarten. If you go up here in the sauna level, we have 5 saunas with 3 of them direct view on the castle of Salzburg, and it's booked every day. Here is the sauna lounge oriented to the church on the other side of the Salzburg Müllner Kirche, and the exterior pool, 35 degrees, very pleasant. If you go pass by in Salzburg, it's the right season to do it. And to enjoy the sauna. And here you can see there's a perspective how it's located in the city. I think that's compared to the idea that to sell a property like this in the center of a town. Just don't do it. Do something for your people. Do something for the population. Create spaces where people can meet. That's of an incredible value for our societies. And we are, in the meantime, working here on this. The use has changed. Now it's we are building for the Mozarteum, the University of Music, for the School for Voices and for Electronic Music. And we have been contacted then by the owner of this site. So it's a little very complex work we are doing there in Salzburg on this part, but with a great pleasure and with a great responsibility. But when it all comes together, architecture and sustainability and the pleasure for people, everything can work together. Thank you very much.